people started building bigger and bigger transformers. You know, people were like, what if we just make it bigger? What if we give it more parameters? There was an XKCD cartoon which said, give it more parameters the whole time. You just add parameters. You make it bigger and suddenly it can do more. It learns more. It learns more associations between the words. It starts being quite good at predicting the next word in a sentence. GPT-2 in 2019 had 1.5 billion parameters. I mean, you guys are statisticians. That should make you shiver. You know, you're like, geez, if I add too many parameters, I'm going to overfit. So the logic here just breaks. I mean, 1.5 billion parameter models were being made, which is crazy. But then there were a couple of even more crazy people in the industry who said, if I just go and get more money, what if I make it even bigger? And so they did. And basically, the people were just feeding money into this machine in the form of compute time and parameters and the whole internet. And then it was 175 billion parameters, which is even bigger. I mean, if 1.5 billion makes you shiver, by the time you're at 175, you're just shrugging. Because what even is that? That's like so many parameters that the rules of statistics stop applying. You're basically in a world where it's so high dimensional that things don't behave the way you expect. And in fact, that's exactly what people learned. Once the dimension gets really high, you know this thing that you fall into local minima? It goes away. Because for a local minimum to exist, you know, if you take the gradient in every direction, it needs to go up. But how does it go up in 175 billion directions at the same time? That's really a lot of directions that you need to get this thing to be at the bottom of. So what happens is, as you optimize, there's always some way to squeeze out of the local minimum. We're in a very, 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 very high dimensions. And this was surprising to people. It's still surprising. It's weird. You don't really have as many local minima when your parameter space is that big. And so these things worked. They trained. GPT-3 was pretty decent. I made a chatbot with GPT-3, which lied to a lot of students at an online school. That thing told the students that school offered music, school offered all kinds of subjects, it offered them free laptops, it was dangerous. But what was interesting about it was coherent, right? And that in 2020 was crazy. You could make something that spoke like a human, it looks like a human, that talks like a human. It's starting to feel a bit human, although when you look under the hood, it's really not.